I sit rigid in my chair at Marino's, the downtown restaurant that costs more than my weekly grocery budget. Crystal glasses catch the light from chandeliers overhead, creating tiny prisms across the white tablecloth. The wine menu stands propped between salt and pepper shakers, $28 for the cheapest glass. My father's 60th birthday celebration swirls around me while I maintain a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Another round? The server hovers at Dad's right shoulder, pen poised. Absolutely. Dad claps his hands together, his cheeks already flushed from the first two glasses. My fingers tighten around my water glass. I've barely touched the wine I ordered 30 minutes ago, calculating its cost with each small sip. Jade tosses her hair over one shoulder, scanning the menu with practiced nonchalance. I'm thinking the Maine black lobster. They fly it in fresh this time of year. I glance at the price, $65, and feel my stomach clench. Excellent choice. Our server nods, then turns to me. And for you, ma'am? Just the cedar plank salmon, please. It's the least expensive entree at $32. Jade catches my eye as the server moves to Logan. With deliberate slowness, she points to the reserve wine list. I'll have the Chateau Margaux, the 2015. I know that wine. $45 a glass. Logan leans forward. And I'd like the deluxe sushi platter. A dish designed for 2 people. $78. My chest tightens. Maybe we go easy on the menu tonight? The words slip out before I can stop them, soft enough that only our table can hear. Mom and Dad exchange glances. Logan studies his napkin. Jade's lips curve upward. Relax, Ellis, she says, voice carrying just enough to make the tables nearby turn slightly. You've got it. You're basically our corporate sponsor. Everyone laughs. Everyone except me. I feel something harden inside my chest, like concrete setting. 3 years. 3 years of holidays, birthdays, and just because celebrations were my card somehow always ended up with the bill. It began with my promotion to financial manager. Suddenly, my family wanted to celebrate everything, and I was happy to treat occasionally. But occasional became expected, and expected became demanded. I look around the table at my laughing family. Dad's gold watch glints in the dim light, a gift to himself last Christmas. Mom's designer purse hangs off her chair, something she just had to have from the Nordstrom anniversary sale. Jade's 3rd new phone this year sits beside her plate. Meanwhile, my apartment still has the secondhand furniture I bought 5 years ago. My car is paid off, but showing its age. I'm saving for retirement while they're spending like there's no tomorrow. Under the table, I pull out my phone and text Tyler. They're doing it again. His response comes quickly. Walk away. Jim's the manager tonight. I already talked to him. Tyler, the one person who sees me clearly. I do the math in my head as I watch Mom order another bottle for the table. $890 and climbing. The weight of it settles on my shoulders, not just the money, but the responsibility they've placed there without asking, without thanks. Mom lifts her glass. To family, she says, meeting everyone's eyes but mine. That's when I know. 3 years of this is enough. I stand up, holding my phone as if it's just vibrated. I'm gonna step outside and take this call real quick. No one really looks at me. Dad nods absently, already launching into a story about his golf game. Mom adjusts her necklace. Logan and Jade are arguing about some reality television show. I walk toward the door, each step feeling strangely momentous. At the threshold, I pause and look back. My family continues eating, drinking, la finga tableau of pleasure at someone else's expense. For one heartbeat, doubt flutters in my chest. Then I remember Jade's smirk, the casual way they order whatever they want without a single thank you. I push through the door and step into the cool night air. I don't look back. The hostess smiles as I pass. Leaving already? Yes, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. I'm finished. And I am. Finally, completely finished. What would you do if your family treated you like nothing more than a walking wallet? Would you keep paying silently? Or would you finally stand up for yourself? I chose self-respect, but the price was higher than any dinner bill. Stay with me to see what happened when the check finally arrived at the table. I sit in my car, engine off, listening to rain patter against the windshield. The parking lot of Marino's glows orange under sodium lights, each raindrop catching light like tiny falling stars. My phone lights up again the 7th time in 12 minutes. The screen displays our family group chat. 3 dots appear, disappear, then reappear as someone types, deletes, reconsiders. I don't need to read the messages to know what's happening inside. The thought of Jim approaching their table sends a chill down my spine that has nothing to do with the car's cooling interior. My phone buzzes again. This time, I look. Jade, where are you? The manager said the bill hasn't been paid. Logan, this is not funny. We're sitting here humiliated. Mom, Ellis, is something wrong? Dad, answer your phone right now. I see Jim in my mind's eye, tall, thin, perpetually concerned, approaching their table with practiced professionalism. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it seems Miss Morrison's card has been removed from our payment system. Jade's face would shift, first disbelief breaking through her perfect composure, those carefully shaped eyebrows shooting upward as her champagne glass hovers halfway to her lips. Mom would fumble in her designer, purse the $1,200 Prada she absolutely needed last month. Her fingers, adorned with the anniversary diamonds Dad gave her, that I helped him choose, would tremble slightly as she searches for a rarely used credit card. Dad's face would redden beneath his tan, that particular shade of crimson that appears when his dominance is challenged. The same color he turned when his golf buddy outbid him at the charity auction last summer. My phone buzzes with Tyler's message. They figure it out yet? I type back, in process, not going back. Another memory surfaces: Christmas dinner at the Capitol Grill. The bill, $650. I remember the weight of the leather folder in my hand, the quick mental calculation as I slid my card inside. The conversation never paused as plates were cleared. Not a single thank you, not even a glance. Then Logan's graduation celebration at Coastline. $1,200 for 8 people. This is my sister, Logan had said to his girlfriend's parents. She works in finance, not Ellis, who helped him study for entrance exams. Not Ellis, who proofread his essays. Just Ellis, who works in finance, Ellis the walking wallet. I gripped the steering wheel, remembering Jade's voice floating from the kitchen during Thanksgiving. Why save when Ellis has us covered? She'd laughed, unaware I stood just around the corner, pumpkin pie in hand. The heat of humiliation rising in my cheeks matched only by the spreading coldness in my chest. Somewhere along the way, my financial success became my family identity. The realization sits heavy in my stomach, solid as a stone. My phone lights up again. Tyler, you finally did it. I'm proud of you. Marie from work had warned me months ago. We were reviewing quarterly projections when she noticed me calculating my portion of Dad's upcoming birthday. They're using you, she'd said bluntly. You know that, right? I defended them then. That's what family does. We take care of each other. When was the last time they took care of you? Marie had asked. I had no answer. My apartment, small but carefully furnished, was another quiet rebellion. Dad had pushed me toward luxury high-rises when I got promoted. You've made it, he'd insisted. Show it. But I chose this modest place instead, with its morning light and reading nook. My private sanctuary that no family member had visited in over a year. Messages continue flooding my phone as I start the engine. I imagine them inside scrambling to cover a bill approaching $1,000. Mom's credit card might be declined. She rarely uses it. Dad would be forced to pull out his emergency card, the one he keeps for real situations. Logan might need to call his girlfriend for help. I drive away from Marino's, streetlights blurring slightly as I blink rapidly. Jade, I can't believe you would embarrass us like this. Logan, the manager is standing here waiting. Mom, Ellis, please call us back immediately. Dad, this behavior is unacceptable. The words blurred together, accusation after accusation. No one asks if I'm okay. No one wonders why I left. The messages focus only on their embarrassment, their inconvenience. I pull into my apartment complex, park in my usual spot. The familiar surroundings settle me. This is my space, my life, my choices. With steady fingers, I type my response. Nothing's wrong. I just thought it was time for everyone to handle their own part for once. The group chat falls silent. I imagine them staring at their phones, shock rippling across the table like a stone dropped in still water. I turn off notifications with a deliberate tap. The sudden silence feels like opening windows after a storm, fresh air rushing in, clearing stagnation. Inside my apartment, I kick off my shoes and curl into my reading chair, tucking my legs beneath me. The small table lamp casts a warm circle of light that doesn't quite reach the corners of the room. For the first time in years, the quiet doesn't feel lonely. It feels like freedom. This modest space, once a compromise between what I could afford and what would placate my family's expectation, suddenly feels different. The secondhand bookshelf, the throw blanket from a street fair, the watercolor I painted in college, all mine, chosen by me, for me. Not a prison of financial obligation. A sanctuary of self-respect. Have you ever been taken advantage of by the very people who should support you most? When is enough finally enough? Tell me in the comments if you've had to draw a hard line with family and what happened afterward. Ellis's family isn't done with her yet, not by a long shot. The doorbell pierces the quiet of my Sunday morning like an alarm. Not a gentle chime, but an insistent buzz-hold buzz that makes my coffee slosh over the rim of my mug. When it doesn't stop after 30 seconds, I set down my half-read financial journal and pad across the hardwood floor in my fuzzy socks. Through the peephole's distorted fisheye, I see them all, 4 of them, crowded in the narrow hallway outside my apartment. Dad's jaw works back and forth, a sure sign he's grinding his teeth. Mom dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief, the embroidered one Grandma left her. Logan shifts his weight from foot to foot, hands shoved deep in his pockets. And Jade, front and center, jabs her manicured finger toward my doorbell again. My hand hovers over the deadbolt. I could pretend I'm not home. I could turn up the morning news and drown them out until they leave. But they just come back. This confrontation was always coming. I unlock the door and pull it open. Finally, Jade huffs, brushing past me without waiting for an invitation. The others follow in her wake, Mom with a wounded glance, Dad with a curt nod, Logan with an awkward half smile that dies before it fully forms. They position themselves around my modest living room like they're staging an intervention. Dad immediately begins pacing the perimeter, running his finger along my IKEA bookshelf, as if checking for dust. Mom sinks into my reading chair, handkerchief pressed to her nose, her designer purse, the one I remember her needing last season, tucked beside her. Jade plants herself directly in front of my television, arms crossed over her chest, while Logan hovers uncertainly near the exit, as if preserving the option to flee. I remain standing, hands clasped in front of me. The contrast must be stark, their agitation against my stillness. Last night, I prepared for this moment, rehearsing responses in my bathroom mirror until they felt natural in my mouth. What were you thinking, embarrassing us like that? Dad launches in, his voice tight with controlled anger. His pacing increases. 3 steps right, pivot, 3 steps left. The manager had to come over. People were looking. We've always been there for you, Ellis. Always. Mom's voice warbles with emotion, but her eyes remain dry behind the handkerchief. I notice she's wearing her pearl earrings, the ones she mentioned buying herself with birthday money from Ellis. One dinner, Jade throws her hands up dramatically. You threw a tantrum over one dinner? Do you know how ridiculous that makes you look? I sit quietly in the center of their storm, letting them exhaust their prepared speeches. Logan contributes nothing, studying the carpet pattern as if it contains secret messages. What do you have to say for yourself? Dad demands when their initial volley meets only silence. I've rehearsed this moment, but now that it's here, my heart hammers against my ribs. Still, I stand, straightening my spine one vertebra at a time. I've paid for almost every gathering in the past 3 years, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. No one ever asked if it was okay, just became expected. I'm not a wallet, I'm a person. The silence that follows has physical weight. Mom's handkerchief freezes mid-dab. Dad stops pacing so abruptly he rocks on his heels. Even Jade's perpetual eye roll pauses halfway through its revolution. I walk to my desk and retrieve a folder I prepared weeks ago. the one I never thought I'd have the courage to share. Inside is a spreadsheet, because of course there is. I've tracked every celebration since my promotion, every credit card statement, every casual, "Oh, Ellis will get it." I place it on the coffee table and open it so they can all see. Mother's Day brunch, $342. Logan's job interview celebration, $538. Dad's retirement party, $1,890. I flip through the meticulously organized receipts. Jade's breakup dinner, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mom's birthday, the just because dinners. The final page shows a highlighted total, $17,280. This isn't about generosity. I continue into their stunned silence. It's about respect. I would have happily treated occasionally if anyone had ever acknowledged it. But it became an expectation, not a gift. Jade recovers first, her face flushing crimson. "You embarrassed the entire family over one dinner? That's messed up." She stalks toward me, finger pointed. "You make more than the rest of us combined. What else are you spending it on? Your exciting life of financial journals and sensible shoes?" "This wasn't just one dinner," I reply, holding my ground. "This was the final straw after years of silence. After all we've sacrificed for you." Mom's tears now fall freely, her voice rising to that familiar pitch that used to send me scrambling to make amends. "All the opportunities we gave you, the support through college." Something inside me shifts. "Name one sacrifice you've made for me in the last 5 years." The question lands like a stone in still water. The ripples of silence spread outward as they search for an answer. Any answer. "We're family," Dad finally says, as if that explains everything. "Yes," I nod. "And family should respect each other." Jade snatches her purse from the couch. "You'll regret this," she hisses, moving toward the door. "Don't think you're better than us." "I'm not better," I say quietly. "I'm just done being taken advantage of." They exit one by one, a reverse procession. Logan with a backward glance I can't quite interpret. Mom with a fresh wave of tears. Jade with a dramatic door swing that would be comical in another context. Dad is last. His hand on the doorknob, he turns to deliver his parting shot. "Your mother raised you better than this." The words are meant to cut, to reopen that lifetime wound of wanting to be good enough. But something has hardened in me, a protective shell around my newly discovered self-respect. "She raised me to respect myself too," I say as the door closes. Alone in my apartment, I release a breath I've been holding for 3 years. The silence feels different, now not lonely, but peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I haven't paid for my family's approval. And that feels worth every penny I didn't spend. When you finally stand your ground, those who benefited from your silence often become your loudest critics. Has someone ever made you feel guilty for setting healthy boundaries? Share your experience below. In Stay With Me, Alice's story is about to take an unexpected turn that might change how you see family obligations forever. The familiar hum of fluorescent lights bathes my office in a clinical glow as I review the Henderson portfolio. Numbers align in perfect columns on my monitor, reliable, predictable, unlike family. My silenced phone buzzes again in my desk drawer the 5th time in 30 minutes. I don't need to look to know who it is. The small wooden drawer vibrates against my knee, but I keep my eyes fixed on the screen, feeling strangely liberated by this small act of rebellion. "Ellis?" Marie pokes her head in, her brows lifting when she sees me. "You seem different today." "Good different or concerning different?" I ask, saving the report. She leans against the door frame. "Focused, like you've shed something heavy." I feel the corners of my mouth lift into a genuine smile. "I have." "We're heading to Mancini's for lunch," she says. "Join us?" The old Ellis would have calculated the cost, worried about appearing stingy, picked up the check to ensure everyone still liked her. Instead, I shake my head. "Not today. I'm taking care of myself today." Marie's nod carries no judgment, only respect. She disappears down the hallway, leaving me to the blessed quiet of my own company. My drawer buzzes again. With a sigh, I slide it open and glance at the screen. 7 missed calls from Mom. 3 texts from Logan, 1 email from Dad, 4 Instagram notifications from Jade. Mom's voicemail plays in my ear, her voice wavering between anger and pleading. Ellis, honey, we've always been there for you. Always. This silent treatment isn't like you. We're worried. I delete it and move to the next. Your father is beside himself. Is this how you repay everything we've done for you over one dinner? And the next. I raised you better than this, Ellis Catherine Morrison. By the 6th message, tears have crept into her voice. Please, sweetheart, just call us. We're family. Family sticks together. Dad's email is shorter, more direct. Your behavior was unacceptable and embarrassed this entire family. We expect an apology and a conversation about family responsibilities. Soon. Logan's texts attempt an awkward middle ground. Hey sis, everyone's pretty heated on. Maybe we could grab coffee? Just us. I get why you're upset, but family's family, you know. But it's Jade's Instagram that truly twists the knife. A filtered throwback photo of our family at Thanksgiving 3 years ago, standing slightly apart, everyone smiling. The caption reads, "Missing simpler times when some people valued family over money. Heartbroken. Family first." 27 likes. 3 sympathetic comments about selfish siblings. Something hardens in my chest, not like concrete this time, but like steel being tempered. With deliberate movements, I open my messaging app and Emily group chat. My fingers hover over the keyboard. I type, delete, and type again. If I'm only valued when I'm paying, then I'm no longer part of this conversation. Don't contact me unless it's with respect. I press send before I can second-guess myself, then block the chat. That evening, I stand before the photo wall in my living room. Crystal frames hold snapshots of a family that exists only in these frozen moments, Dad teaching me to ride a bike, Mom braiding my hair, Logan and me building sandcastles, Jade and I in matching dresses at Easter. One by one, I take them down, considering each before making my decision. Some return to the wall. Others go into a box I slide under my bed. Not discarded, just distanced. Tyler arrives with takeout as I hang the last frame. "How are you holding up?" he asks, setting containers on my small dining table. "Better than expected." I sink onto my couch, suddenly exhausted. "But I think I need to be clear about boundaries with you too." His eyes widen slightly, but he sits across from me, listening intently as I explain my need for financial independence, my fear of being valued only for what I provide, my determination to build relationships based on mutual respect. I don't want to be anyone's ATM again. I finish, throat tight. Tyler takes my hand, his palm warm against mine. "I hear you, and I'm with you." 3 days later, an email from the firm's managing director lands in my inbox. I've been promoted to senior financial manager effective immediately. The office erupts in genuine congratulations. Marie organizes an impromptu celebration in the break room with supermarket cupcakes and paper cups of sparkling cider. No one expects me to pay for anything. No one wants anything except to share in my success. My mentor, Diane, insists on taking me to dinner that weekend. When the check arrives, she smoothly hands over her card. "My treat," she says firmly when I reach for my purse. "You've earned this." I struggle with the unfamiliar feeling of accepting generosity without strings attached. "Thank you," I manage. The following Tuesday, Mom appears in the lobby of my office building. Her face is carefully made up, but her eyes are rimmed in red. I guide her to the Courtyard Cafe, its public setting ensuring our conversation will remain civil. "We miss you," she says immediately, clutching her purse like a shield. "Family sticks together, Ellis, always." I stir my coffee slowly. "I love you, Mom." Her shoulders relax slightly. But love without respect isn't love at all. Her eyes fill with tears, but I don't reach to wipe them away. Some lessons need to be felt to be learned. I arrive 20 minutes early at Barney's Diner, the kind of place where the vinyl booths have small tiers repaired with duct tape, and the coffee comes in thick white mugs that have seen thousands of refills. Not a crystal glass or sommelier in sight. Perfect. My hands remain steady as I slide into the corner booth that gives me a clear view of both the entrance and the emergency exit. Old habits from my childhood always have an escape route. I position myself on the bench facing the door and arrange the laminated menu in front of me like a shield. The waitress, a woman with silver-streaked hair piled into a practical bun, approaches with a coffee pot. "Just you today, hon." "4 more coming," I say, checking my watch. "But I'll take that coffee while I wait." I wrap my hands around the mug, drawing warmth into my fingers while mentally rehearsing the words I've practiced for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence. 3 weeks of ignored calls and deleted voicemails. 3 weeks of finding my voice. The bell above the door jingles, and they enter like a funeral procession, Dad first, shoulders squared in his tailored blazer. Then Mom, with her nervous smile, followed by Logan, who scans the room like he's checking for witnesses. And finally Jade, sunglasses perched on her head despite the overcast day. They spot me immediately. There's a moment of collective hesitation before they approach, as if crossing the worn linoleum requires special courage. "Ellis." Dad slides into the booth opposite me, the others arranging themselves around him. No hugs, no kisses on cheeks. The temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. I don't smile. I don't frown. I simply nod and take another sip of coffee. Dad clears his throat, straightening his silverware with precise movements. "I think it's time we put this foolishness behind us, don't you?" The words land like a slap. Foolishness. 3 years of financial exploitation reduced to childish behavior. Mom reaches across the table, her manicured fingers stopping just short of touching mine. "We're family, Ellis. Families stay together no matter what." Logan shifts beside her, eyes fixed on a ketchup stain near his elbow. "It's been weird without you," he mumbles, the closest thing to sincerity I've heard yet. Then Jade leans forward, her voice dropping into the honeyed tone she uses for job interviews and first dates. "I know I can be thoughtless sometimes. We all get caught up in our own lives, and maybe we didn't realize how you felt. But that's no reason to throw away years of family connection." The subtle blame wrapped in velvet words, "how you felt, not what we did." Throw away, like I'm the destroyer, rather than the one who finally stopped accepting destruction. I let the silence stretch until they've all run out of prepared speeches. The waitress approaches, but I give a small shake of my head, and she retreats. "I need to know," I say finally, my voice quiet but clear, "if you understand why I walked away." The question hangs in the air between us. Mom blinks rapidly. Logan studies his hands. Jade's smile hardens at the edges. Dad waves dismissively, his gold watch catching the fluorescent light. "You felt underappreciated. We get it. Can we move on now?" Felt underappreciated, not were underappreciated. The distinction speaks volumes. I place my hands flat on the table, fingers splayed against the cool laminate. The gesture anchors me as I lean slightly forward. "That's not enough," I say evenly. "I need actual change, not just temporary awareness." From my purse, I withdraw a folded sheet of paper that I've revised a dozen times, making sure every word reflects exactly what I need. I slide it across the table toward the center. They stare at it as if I've offered them a live grenade. "What's this?" Mom asks, though she makes no move to pick it up. "My terms for reconciliation." Dad snatches the paper, unfolding it with sharp movements. His eyes scan the contents, his complexion darkening with each line. Mom reads over his shoulder, her lips parting slightly. Logan cranes his neck to see, while Jade simply waits, arms crossed. "Separate checks at all future gatherings?" Dad sputters. "Acknowledgement of past financial imbalance? A moratorium on comments about your spending habits?" He slaps the paper down. "These are ridiculous demands." I stand slowly, gathering my purse. The calmness in my movements surprises even me. "They're not demands. They're boundaries. There's a difference." Dad's face flushes deeper. Mom's eyes fill with tears. Logan looks torn between embarrassment and admiration. But it's Jade who surprises me. "Wait," she says, one hand raised. The usual smirk is gone, replaced by something I haven't seen on her face in years: uncertainty. I think. I think she's right. Logan's head snaps toward her. Dad's mouth opens and closes without sound. Mom freezes mid-dab of her handkerchief. What? Dad finally manages. Jade shrugs, not meeting anyone's eyes. We've been treating her like an ATM. If Ryan did that to me, I'd have lost it way sooner than she did. The admission cracks something in the tableau of family unity they've presented. For the first time in 3 weeks, I feel a flutter of hope beneath my ribs, small and fragile, but present. I remain standing, not quite ready to sit back down, but not walking away either. This unexpected moment of honesty has created a fork in our path, and I'm suddenly uncertain which direction we'll take. I adjust the small bouquet of sunflowers in the center of my dining table, stepping back to survey my handiwork. The tableau second-hand find I refinished myself last month gleams under soft lighting. Nothing fancy, just a simple lasagna, garlic bread, and a fresh salad. My kind of hospitality. Need help with anything else? Tyler leans against the kitchen door frame, dish towel slung over his shoulder. The easy comfort between us still surprises me sometimes. I think we're good. I smooth the napkin needlessly. Thanks for being here tonight. He crosses to me, hands settling on my shoulders. Wouldn't miss it. You okay? Before I can answer, the doorbell rings. My shoulders tense involuntarily beneath his fingers. It's just dinner, he reminds me softly. I nod, square my shoulders, and move to the door. When I open it, Mom stands there, Logan slightly behind her. She clutches a glass baking dish with both hands like it's a peace offering. Homemade apple crisp, she announces, her voice carrying a forced brightness. Still warm. Come in. My smile feels genuine, if cautious. The absence of Dad and Jade hangs in the air between us, unmentioned but unmissable. Logan steps forward, awkwardly offering a bottle of wine that I notice isn't from the top shelf. Hey Ellis, place looks nice. The greetings are stilted but sincere. I accept Mom's dessert with both hands, our fingers brushing in a moment of connection that feels more honest than 1,000 family dinners before. Tyler's just opening the wine, I say, leading them to the table. Nothing fancy tonight, just homemade. It smells wonderful, Mom says, and I catch the slight surprise in her voice as if she's just remembering I'm capable of more than signing checks. We settle into dinner, and the conversation flows more naturally than I expected. No mentions of bills or who's paying. Just people talking. How's the Anderson project going? Logan asks between bites of lasagna. You mentioned last time it was keeping you busy. I blink, momentarily startled by his genuine interest in my work. It's good, challenging, but we're making progress. The client finally approved the third quarter projections. This is delicious, Ellis, Mom says, reaching for a second helping of salad. Let me help clean up after. Small moments, authentic connections. I feel something unclenching inside me that I hadn't realized was still so tight. But there are empty chairs at my table. The absence speaks volumes. Dad's still? I finally ask, letting the question hang. Mom sets down her fork with deliberate care. Your father isn't ready yet, she says quietly. Jade sides with him. Logan studies his plate. They think you're being stubborn. I absorb this without surprise. I can only control my own choices, I finally, not their responses. The truth settles over us, neither comforting nor devastating. Just real. Later I raise my glass. To rebuilding, I offer. One honest conversation at a time. They echo the sentiment, and I remember our lunch last week, the careful division of the check, everyone paying their share. Mom had started to say, Ellis could get before catching herself, a flash of awareness crossing her face. Logan and I had exchanged knowing glances but appreciated the effort. Progress isn't perfection. After they leave, I stand in my quiet apartment, running my finger along the edge of the table. The evening feels incomplete, yet whole in its own way. Family healing is messy, imperfect, unresolved, and that's okay. I've learned there's freedom in accepting relationships for what they are, not what I wish they could be. Some people will change when shown a mirror, others will break it rather than see their reflection. I carry the last dishes to the sink, watching moonlight spill across my small but sufficient kitchen. The weight on my shoulders feels different now, lighter, but still present. My own weight to carry, not someone else's expectations. Some prices, I whisper to myself, are too high even for family. The weight of my duffel bag cuts into my shoulder as I fumble with the house key. 3 weeks of caring for Aunt Clara has left me bone-tired muscles, aching in places I didn't know could ache. All I want is Mila's warm welcome, his golden fur against my hand, his ridiculous whole-body wiggle that makes everything right in the world. I push the door open, expecting the familiar thunder of paws against hardwood, the joyful barking that announces my homecoming. Silence. Milo? My voice echoes in the empty entryway as I set down my bags. Hey buddy, where are you? The house feels wrong too still. Too quiet. My stomach tightens as I move toward the living room. Mom and Dad sit stiffly on the couch like they're posing for a church directory photo. Dad's fingers drum against his knee while Mom's smile stretches too thin across her face. Welcome home, Mom says, but her eyes dart away from mine. Where's Milo? The question comes out sharper than I intended. Dad clears his throat. Riley, we need to talk. I stand frozen in the doorway. Where's my dog? We sold him, Dad says flatly. Got $250 from a family in Flagstaff. The room tilts beneath my feet. My knees nearly buckle as the words sink in. You what? It was for the best, Mom adds quickly. He was destructive, Riley. Scratched at the back door, shed everywhere. My mind flashes back to 9 months ago's rescue shelter with its concrete floors and chain-link kennels. The golden lab with soulful eyes who'd pressed against the fence when I approached, as if he'd been waiting specifically for me. You chose me, I'd whispered, fingers threading through the fence to touch his soft muzzle. Dad had exploded when I brought Milo home that night. You live under our roof. You don't make these decisions. Mom had added, if you want a pet, get your own place. But I'd fought for him, worked 2 jobs to cover his expenses. Nights at the gas station after morning shifts at the office. Coming home to Milo's gentle head on my knee while I studied, his warmth at my feet as I slept, his patient eyes as I taught him to sit, stay, shake his eagerness to please, to connect. The one living thing that had never looked at me with disappointment. You had no right, I whisper, throat closing around the words. You left him with us for 3 weeks, Dad counters, voice rising. What did you expect? 3 weeks ago, the call had come about Aunt Clara's fall. Her broken hip, the surgery, someone needed to help during recovery. My cousins all had excuses. I had none except for Milo. I'd called every boarding facility within 50 miles. All booked solid for spring break. Friends with pets of their own couldn't take him. In desperation, I'd approached my parents with detailed care instructions. Feeding schedule, medication times, walking routes, even his favorite toys. I'll pay you, I'd said, pushing $40 per day across the kitchen table. Please, it's just for 3 weeks. Mom had sighed dramatically before pocketing the money. Fine, but just this once. My daily calls from New Mexico had been met with increasingly clipped responses. He's fine, Riley. Stop worrying about the dog. We're busy. Call tomorrow. The final week complete silence. Call straight to voicemail. I should have known. Give me their contact information, I demand, hands trembling. The people who bought him. Mom and Dad exchange glances. We don't have it, Dad says, not meeting my eyes. You sold my dog to strangers and didn't keep their information? My voice rises, breaking over the words. It was a cash transaction, Dad mutters. They seemed like nice people. I back away from them, rage and grief colliding in my chest. I'll find him myself. I wait until their bedroom door closes for the night. Then I power up Dad's computer, fingers clicking quietly through his email. The trash folder holds what I need. Correspondence with the buyers, their gratitude, their address in Tucson, not Flagstaff. The liars couldn't even keep their story straight. I move silently through the darkened house, gathering essentials. Clothes, savings account book, Milo's leash. Every item goes into my suitcase with precise, controlled movements while my heart hammers against my ribs. Dawn hasn't broken when I roll my suitcase past the kitchen where Dad stands in his bathrobe, coffee mug halfway to his mouth. "Where do you think you're going?" he asks, voice hovering between concern and annoyance. I meet his eyes, car keys clutched in my hand. "To find my dog." Interstate lights blur into streams as I drive through the night, my headlights cutting a narrow path through darkness. Tucson waits at the end of this 5-hour journey, and somewhere in that city, Milo does too. My fingers grip the steering wheel until they ache. "I'll find you," I whisper into the empty car. "I promise." The words hang in the air, a vow and a prayer. Tears stream down my face, but I don't wipe them away. Let them fall. I've earned them. My thoughts tumble into memories. Milo curled against me during thunderstorms. His gentle nudge when I studied too long without breaks. The way he'd position himself between me and the door whenever Dad's voice rose. He protected me. Now it's my turn. "They had no right," I say aloud, voice cracking against the steady hum of tires on asphalt. "No goddamn right." The digital clock flicks to 5:07 a.m. as I pull onto the quiet suburban street. The address from Dad's email belongs to a modest ranch-style house with blue trim and a basketball hoop in the driveway. I park across the street, engine ticking as it cools. Sleep comes in fitful bursts, my body jerking awake at every passing car, every door that slams in the neighborhood. I watch the house through half-lidded eyes as morning arrives. A newspaper lands on the driveway, lights flick on inside. A man in a bathrobe retrieves the paper, glancing curiously at my car before disappearing back inside. 9 o'clock, 10, 11. My courage builds with each passing hour as my leg bounces against the floorboard. At noon, I splash water on my face from a bottle in the back seat, smooth down my wrinkled shirt, and cross the street. The concrete path to their door might as well be a mile long. My finger hovers over the doorbell, trembling. The chime echoes inside. The door swings open to reveal a woman about my age, with a toddler balanced on her hip. The little girl wears mismatched socks and clutches a plastic dinosaur. "Can I help you?" The woman, Angela. According to Dad's email shifts, the child higher on her hip. "My name is Riley Anderson." The practiced words suddenly stick in my throat. "I believe you. You bought my dog." Her eyebrows knit together. "Your dog?" "Golden Lab. 9 months old. My father sold him to you last week." The toddler drops her dinosaur, whining softly until Angela stoops to retrieve it. When she listens, her expression has changed. "You're the owner?" Her voice softens. "Your father said they were downsizing, that they couldn't keep pets anymore." My laugh comes out bitter. "That's not true. I was taking care of my aunt after surgery. I paid them to watch him while I was gone." "Oh my God." Her face pales. She steps back, gesturing me inside. "Come in, please." The house smells of coffee and crayons. Toys litter the living room floor, a landscape of primary colors against beige carpet. "Jason," Angela calls toward the back of the house. "Can you take Emma for a minute?" A man appears, lifting the toddler with practiced ease. He nods at me, curious but not unwelcoming, before carrying the little girl down a hallway. "I'm so sorry," Angela says once we're alone. "Your father seemed convincing. We never would have." She stops, shaking her head. "He's out back. Would you like to see him?" My heart pounds as she leads me through the kitchen to a sliding glass door. The backyard stretches green and fenced, dotted with children's toys and a plastic wading pool. And there, beneath an oak tree, golden fur catching sunlight, Milo. "Milo," I breathe, the name barely audible. His head snaps up, ears perked. He freezes, staring at me across the yard as if he can't believe what he's seeing. "Milo," I call again, louder. He bolts toward me, a golden streak across the grass. His entire body vibrates with joy as he slams into my legs, nearly knocking me over. I drop to my knees, burying my face in his fur as he whimpers and licks every inch of skin he can reach. "I found you," I whisper against his neck. "I found you." For the first time in weeks, I breathe fully, deeply, the weight lifting from my chest. Milo wriggles against me, his tail a metronome of happiness. Angela stands back, giving us space. I finally look up, her eyes glisten with tears. "I have the money," I say, reaching for my wallet. "The $250 you paid plus. I added extra, for taking good care of him." She accepts the folded bills reluctantly. "He's a wonderful dog." While I clip Milo's leash to his collar, Angela kneels to explain to her daughter, now back in the kitchen. The little girl's face crumples in confusion, tiny fingers reaching toward Milo. "Doggy go?" "Yes, sweetie, the doggy's going home with his real family." The drive away from Tucson passes in silence, Milo's head heavy on my lap as I stroke his ears. Only when the city disappears in my rearview mirror does reality crash into me. I have nowhere to go. Night falls as we drive, stars pricking the sky one by one. My bank account holds enough for maybe 2 weeks of motel rooms. My apartment lease won't allow me back without my parents' co-signature. I pull into a roadside motel that advertises pets welcome in flickering neon. The room smells of industrial cleaner and cigarettes, but Milo doesn't seem to care. He circles the strange space, sniffing corners before curling protectively around me on the sagging mattress. My fingers tangle in his fur as darkness settles. I have $400, a suitcase of clothes, and a golden lab who breathes steadily against me. It's everything I need. It's nothing at all. My last $20 buys Milo dinner and leaves nothing for mine. I watch him eat from the plastic dish on the motel floor, his tail swishing against the worn carpet. 3 weeks since I retrieved him from Tucson, and my savings account has dwindled to double digits. The motel manager gave me until tomorrow. "We'll figure something out, buddy." My stomach growls as I scratch behind his ears. He looks up, eyes liquid with trust that twists my heart. The phone rings 4 times before Amber answers. My oldest friend since 5th grade, the one person who might not hang up. "I need a place to crash." The words scrape my throat raw. "Just for a few days." The silence stretches so long I think she's hung up. "You still have that dog?" Her voice drops to a whisper. "Rick's allergic." "I'll keep him outside. Please, Amber." Another pause. 3 days max. And the dog stays in your car. Night temperatures still dip into the 40s. I nearly refuse, but my credit card maxed out yesterday. "Thanks, I'll be there in an hour." Milo sleeps in the Civic for 2 nights, bundled in every blanket I own while I curl on Amber's sofa. The 3rd morning, Rick's pointed glances at his watch tell me the couch is needed elsewhere. I walk Milo before dawn, letting him stretch his legs while planning our next move. Applications submitted to 17 apartments, all requiring deposits, pet fees, excellent credit, none calling back. "We need income," I whisper against Milo's fur. "Then shelter." The coffee shop hires me on the spot. $5 an hour plus tips for the morning shift. Not enough, but a start. That night, the loading dock at Wagner Distribution takes me on for evening work. $10 an hour, under the table. The foreman eyes my slender frame. "You sure you're up for this? Those boxes aren't feathers." I hoist a 50-pound carton to shoulder height. I'm stronger than I look. Between shifts, I sleep in the car with Milo. 30-minute naps in parking lots. His warm body curled against mine, my only constant in a world gone sideways. We develop a rhythm. Park behind the coffee shop at 5 a.m. Work until 1 p.m. Nap until my 6 p.m. dock shift. Work until 2 a.m. Find a safe place to park, sleep, repeat. Days blur. Muscles scream. The car fills with the sweet-sour smell of unwashed human and dog. Once a week, we splurge on a motel room just to shower. At the grocery store, I count pennies while comparing dog food prices. The premium brand costs double the generic, but Milo's had stomach issues since Tucson. I return the apple I grabbed for myself and buy his food instead. 6 weeks into this half-life, a wrinkled index card on the coffee shop bulletin board catches my eye. Room for rent. $300 month. Utilities included. The address leads to a craftsman-style house with peeling paint but intact windows. A gray-haired woman opens the door before I knock, her eyes narrowing at Milo sitting patiently beside me. Ad didn't say anything about pets. Her mouth puckers like she's tasted something sour. He's quiet, housebroken. I'll pay extra. She studies us both. How much extra? $60. Her eyes soften slightly. You're living in your car, aren't you? The truth sticks in my throat, but I nod. First and last month up front, and the dog stays off the furniture. The room barely fits a twin mattress. One small window looks out at the neighbor's brick wall. The closet door hangs from a single hinge. But it has a lock, a ceiling fan, and most importantly, a floor where Milo can sleep beside me. That first night, we both circle the space cautiously. Milo sniffs every corner before settling at the foot of my mattress, his body curved protectively around my feet. I stare at the unfamiliar ceiling, listening to his steady breathing. We made it, I whisper. For the first time, I sleep until morning. Our ritual becomes sunrise walks around the neighborhood, coffee shop at dawn, quick meal from my lunch cooler, loading dock at dusk, late dinner together in our tiny room. Exhaustion becomes normal. The ache in my shoulders a constant companion. But Milo's food bowl stays full, and the roof stays over our heads. The receptionist position at Tri-State Logistics pays $3 more per hour than the coffee shop. I wear my only decent outfit to the interview, picking dog hair off the sleeves in the parking lot. You have customer service experience? The HR woman eyes my resume. 2 years at Starbucks during college. I don't mention the last 6 weeks. I'm organized, detail-oriented, and I learn quickly. A week later, I turn in my coffee shop apron. 1 full-time job instead of 2 part-time ones means regular hours, benefits, and most precious of all time with Milo that isn't spent half asleep. James from accounting stops by my desk the 3rd week. Tall, with salt and pepper at his temples despite being only 35. There's dog hair on your sweater. He points to my sleeve with a slight smile. Golden retriever? Lab mix, I say cautiously. How did you know? I've got a beagle named Daisy. He pulls out his phone to show me a picture of a tricolored dog with enormous ears. Rescue? Yes, 9 months ago. His smile broadens. Daisy's been with me 3 years. Best decision I ever made. The next day, he appears with coffee. Break room's empty if you want to join me. Over bitter office coffee, we swap adoption stories. I tell him about the shelter visit, carefully omitting the betrayal and homelessness that followed. Our conversations continue over weeks. Coffee breaks extending longer each time. His eyes stay kind when I stumble over parts of my story. One Friday, he asks, "Would you and Milo like to meet Daisy? There's a dog park near my place." That Sunday, Milo and Daisy circle each other, tails wagging tentatively before racing off together across the grass. I watch them play while James stands beside me. "You know, you never said how you ended up at that shelter 9 months ago," he says quietly. Something in his voice, the absence of judgment, loosens the knot in my chest. It's a long story. I've got time. His shoulder touches mine, solid, warm. So, I tell him. About the aunt, the 3 weeks away, the empty house. The parents who sold my dog, who betrayed my trust for $250. James doesn't interrupt. When I finish, his face darkens with genuine anger. That's unforgivable. The simple validation nearly breaks me. My eyes burn as I watch Milo bound back to us, joyful and alive, unaware how close we came to losing each other forever. "You found him anyway," James says. That's what matters. For the first time in months, I laugh a real laugh that bubbles up from somewhere I thought had dried up permanently. "Yeah, We found each other. As we leave the park, he brushes his hand against mine. Same time next weekend? Milo and Daisy race ahead of us on the path, already friends. I take James's outstretched hand. Same time. The Facebook notification pings while I'm loading the dishwasher. 7 years of blessed silence from my parents, and now a message icon glows beside my mother's name. My hands freeze, water dripping onto the kitchen floor. It takes 3 tries to tap the screen with suddenly clumsy fingers. We saw the kids in Lisa's photos. They're beautiful. We'd like to meet our grandchildren. My lungs forget how to work. The room shrinks around me, walls pressing in as my heart hammers against my ribs. Cousin Lisa, family photographer, who apparently hasn't honored my privacy settings request. Riley? James appears in the doorway, dish towel in hand. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. The phone slips from my fingers, clattering on the counter. They found us. For 3 days, the message hovers over our home like storm clouds. I catch myself checking my phone at odd hours, scrolling through the brief text as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less threatening. Milo, now gray-muzzled and arthritic, senses my distress and refuses to leave my side. You don't have to answer, James says on the 3rd night, his hand warm against my shoulder. Yes, I do. My voice sounds hollow in our darkened bedroom. If I don't, they might just show up. My carefully crafted response takes an hour to write, delete, and rewrite. I'd prefer to talk by phone before discussing any meetings. Tuesday, 7 p.m. No pleasantries, no excess words they could misinterpret as eagerness. Tuesday evening arrives with the weight of a funeral. The children are tucked safely at James's mother's house. I've rehearsed what to say, practiced maintaining boundaries without hostility. James sets his laptop on the kitchen table, ready to work but within earshot if I need him. My father answers on the first ring. Riley, we were beginning to think you'd never respond. It's good to hear your voice, my mother chimes in, her tone candy sweet. Tell us about the children. Caleb must be, 5 now, and little Nora? I offer minimal details, waiting for the real conversation to begin. It takes exactly 6 minutes. You know, we've been very patient, Mother says, her voice shifting from syrup to vinegar. Most grandparents wouldn't wait years to meet their own flesh and blood. You left us no choice about the dog, Father adds, as if reading from a script they've rehearsed. You shouldn't have expected us to care for your pet for 3 weeks. We had lives too. His name is Milo, I say, the old anger flaring hot beneath my breastbone, and he's been with me for over a decade now. A pause, then Mother's voice drops into the register she used when I was a child and had disappointed her. Really, Riley? Still holding on to that grudge after all this time? You have children now. That changes things. We have a right to know our grandchildren, Father declares, the familiar edge of command in his voice sending ice down my spine. Your mother knits them blankets every Christmas, did you know that? Christmas with presents they never receive. I press my palm flat against the counter, steadying myself against the wave of guilt. James looks concerned, but I shake my head slightly. I'm not ready for this, I finally say, each word deliberate and quiet. Father's voice rises instantly. Not ready? You've had 7 years. We've been more than patient. Mother's calculated sniffling begins. If you won't be reasonable, we have options too. We can pursue grandparent rights, the courts recognize. The word courts hits like a physical blow. I set the phone down, ending the call mid-sentence. The kitchen falls silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and my ragged breathing. James is beside me in an instant, arms encircling me without words. Milo whines softly, pressing his graying muzzle against my leg. Within the hour, I've blocked them on every platform. Urgent texts fly to family members Lisa, Aunt Clara, cousins requesting no photos or information about our children be shared. James doesn't question my frantic energy as I create private accounts for the kids' school photos. The next morning, James installs additional security cameras while I make calls to our family lawyer just in case. Milo shadows me from room to room. his arthritic gait unable to keep him from his self-appointed guardianship. At night, after tucking dinosaur sheets around Caleb and kissing Nora's forehead beneath her mobile of butterflies, I sit alone in our darkened living room. Milo's heavy head settles on my lap, his brown eyes reflecting the same steadfast devotion that saved me once before. "We'll be okay," I whisper, more to convince myself than him. "They can't take this from us." But my hand trembles as I stroke his fur, and the tears I've held back all day finally fall. The brown box sits on my kitchen counter, return address unfamiliar but postmarked from my hometown. No announcement preceded it, no warning call. My fingers hesitate on the packing tape, half expecting legal papers inside some new angle on the grandparent rights threat. James watches from across the room, arms folded. "Want me to open it?" "No." I grab scissors and slice through the tape in one decisive cut. Inside, beneath layers of tissue paper, lies fabric soft blues and golds folded with precision. As I lift it, the quilt unfurls like a flag of surrender. Golden retrievers dance across meticulously stitched squares, one unmistakably Miloth white chest patch, the slightly bent left ear. My breath catches. A plain white card flutters to the floor. James picks it up, reads aloud. Freely, no strings attached. I run my fingers over the tiny stitches. Hundreds of hours of work. My mother's arthritis must have screamed through every inch of this. The detail in Milo's eye as she captured the exact amber brown. The careful reproduction of his collar. She remembered his collar. I whisper, throat tight. A tear hits the quilt before I realize I'm crying. Stupid, unwelcome tears. I swipe them away, angry at my own weakness. "Are we responding?" James asks 3 days later, coffee mug suspended halfway to his lips. The quilt now drapes across our couch. The children have claimed it already, Caleb building forts beneath it, Nora pointing to each dog saying, "Milo, Milo, Milo," though she never met him. "I think we should acknowledge it," I say. No invitations, just acknowledgement. That evening, I select one photo from my phone, Milo, sprawled on the playroom floor, Caleb using him as a pillow, Nora's tiny hand buried in his fur. I print it right on the back. "Thank you for the quilt. It's beautiful. No signature needed." James drops the envelope in the mailbox on his way to work. The simple act of response lifts something inside me, like setting down a heavy suitcase I've carried for miles. 2 weeks pass. Then 4. No barrage of calls, no ambush visits. For the first time in years, I think of my parents without my stomach twisting. The letter arrives on a Thursday. Dad's handwriting on the envelope, still the same perfect cursive from years of drafting architectural plans. 3 full pages inside, blue ink pressed deep into the paper like he had to force each word through a barrier. I take it to our bedroom, close the door. Milo rests at my feet as I sit on the edge of the bed, hands trembling slightly. The first line hits like a physical blow. "We didn't just sell your dog. We betrayed your trust. We punished you. And I'm so sorry." My father has never apologized to me. Not once in 28 years. I read the words again, testing them like pressing on a bruise to see if it still hurts. He writes of therapy sessions that your mother insisted on after their grandparent rights threat backfired spectacularly. Of a counselor who asked questions no one had ever dared ask Larry Anderson. Of uncomfortable realizations that kept him awake for weeks. "I was jealous of your relationship with that dog." That sounds insane written out. A grown man jealous of his daughter's attachment to an animal. But you looked at him with such trust. "You never looked at me that way, not since you were very small." He confesses to deliberate cruelty, how they planned it while I was gone, how they'd interviewed 3 families before choosing one far enough away. "We told ourselves we were teaching you responsibility. The truth was uglier. We wanted to hurt you like we felt hurt when you chose something else over us." The letter ends without requests. No plea to see the children, no bid for forgiveness. Just truth finally spoken after a decade of silence. I read it 4 times. Each reading stings less than the one before. Our first video call happens on a Sunday afternoon. The children dart in and out of frame, curious but not commanded to perform. My mother asks about James's promotion. My father inquires about our garden. 20 minutes in, Dad clears his throat. How's Milo doing? He must be getting up there in years. The question isn't performance. He remembered Milo's age. He acknowledged him as a continuing presence in our lives. Arthritis in his back legs, I answer. Still enjoys his morning walks, just shorter ones now. We arranged to meet at Patterson Park the following month, neutral ground, 1 hour. They ask permission before sending small gifts for the children's birthdays. They call ahead before every contact. At our third park meeting, Milo comes along. My father kneels despite his bad knee, offers his hand palm up for sniffing. Milo, who never forgot a cent in his life, examines him carefully before giving a single tail wag, not forgiveness, exactly, but acknowledgement. We're building something I never expected, not the restoration of what was broken, but something new constructed from honest materials. It resembles respect more than traditional family bonds. My boundaries remain firm, their navigation careful. He saved me. I tell them one afternoon, watching Milo doze in a patch of sun. Not just when you sold him, every day after. My mother nods, eyes damp. My father stares at his hands. Some wounds never fully heal, but they can transform into something else, a scar that maps the journey, a reminder of what was lost and what was found along the way. The gray in Milo's muzzle catches the morning light. 10 years and 8 months old now, he moves with the deliberate caution of a senior statesman. His golden coat has dulled with age, but his eyes still flash with recognition when I enter a room. Come on, old man, I whisper, helping him navigate the 3 porch steps. What once took seconds now requires a full minute of careful maneuvering. Our walks have shortened from 3 miles to 1, then to just the length of our street. The orange prescription bottles line our kitchen counter like tiny soldiers. Rimadyl for arthritis and Elapril for his heart, supplements for his kidneys. James jokes that Milo has better health care than most humans. Caleb, now 7, has taken to reading Milo's pill schedule aloud each morning. 5-year-old Nora insists on refilling his water bowl, standing on tiptoes to reach the sink. They've absorbed these rituals of care without complaint, watching me measure doses with the precision of a pharmacist. The unexpected happened 3 months ago. Dad volunteered to drive us to Milo's cardiology appointment when James couldn't get off work. Mom has started bringing homemade dog biscuits without gluten or preservatives. Small offerings accepted with cautious gratitude. Then comes the Tuesday when Milo refuses breakfast. His water bowl sits untouched all day. By evening, he lacks the strength to lift his head when I call his name. James finds me on the kitchen floor at midnight, phone in hand, Milo's head in my lap. It's time, isn't it? He asks, joining us on the cold tile. I nod, unable to form words. We gather in family council the next morning. Caleb's face crumples when I explain, but he nods with solemn understanding. Nora asks if dogs go to heaven, and I tell her the truth that love like Milo's can't simply disappear. The vet arrives at 3 o'clock on a perfect autumn afternoon. Golden light filters through our living room windows as we arrange ourselves around Milo on his favorite blanket, the faded blue one that still smells faintly of the motel where we lived after I found him in Tucson. Daisy lies unusually still beside him, her muzzle touching his paw. James sits cross-legged with Nora in his lap. Caleb positions himself at Milo's tail, one hand resting gently on his back. I cradle his head as the vet explains each step with gentle clarity. He won't feel pain, she assures us, just peace. Milo's eyes find mine one last time, the same soulful gaze that chose me at the shelter 11 years ago. His breathing slows, then stops completely. The silence afterward feels absolute, sacred. The knock on our door the next morning reveals my parents standing awkwardly on the porch. Dad carries a small wooden box, hand-carved with paw prints along the edges. For his collar, he says simply, passing it to me. And anything else you want to keep. Mom moves silently to our kitchen, unpacking containers of lasagna, roasted chicken, fresh rolls. Dad takes the children to the park without being asked, giving me space to shatter in private. That evening, as we gather around the dinner table, Mom reaches across and takes my hand, her first genuine touch in more than a decade. "Tell me about him," she says. "What was he like when you first found him?" The stories spill out between bites: Milo's absolute terror of the vacuum cleaner, his habit of hiding socks under the couch, how he'd swim in any puddle larger than a dinner plate. Dad's unexpected laughter breaks through our tears when James describes Milo's hatred of the mailman's particular walking rhythm. 2 weeks later, I still wake to phantom sounds: the click of nails on hardwood, the jingle of his collar. I find Caleb placing dandelions beneath the maple tree, where Milo loved to nap. Daisy sniffs each room before settling, searching for her missing friend. The quilt Mom made hangs now in our living room, its stitched golden lab eternally frozen in mid-play. Each year on Milo's adoption day, we make donations to the shelter where I found him. It took losing Milo to understand how much love can come from unexpected places and how betrayal can come from those closest to you. Healing doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes it just means building something new from what remains.